Hello, this is Sheshachalam from Astroguide Mysore. So we are now going ahead with the planet Mercury and its significations with respect to medical astrology. So Mercury is a planet which does not get associated with any of the humors, that is Vata, Kapha, Pitta. So Pitta is the fiery type of a biliousness, Vata, airy, that is gaseous, Kapha is watery or what we call as phlegm, so phlegmatic. So Mercury represents all the three in a balance. So when Mercury gets afflicted in a chart by any planet, or let us say it is associated with any planet, why should we say afflicted? When it is associated with any planet, it takes the role of that planet's nature, that is the humor. So if it gets close to sun, it becomes more bilious. If it gets close to moon, it becomes more phlegmatic. So that is how the nature of Mercury is. So the body parts and the organs represented by Mercury, it represents the nervous system, the central nervous system. It represents all the neurons in the brain. So that means it represents our thought processes, the flow of thoughts, the flow of knowledge, retrieving memory. All these things are controlled by Mercury. The spinal cord, the ears, the nose, the throat. So that means it is ENT. The vocal cords in particular is represented by Mercury because it represents communication. Skin, which is all over our body, is represented by Mercury. So that is why Mercury does not particularly stick to a particular place. So you can see now when we are saying nervous system, everywhere in our body, skin, all over our body, it covers all over our body. So the pulse, or what we call as the um, the problems related to fast heartbeat, we call it as palpitation. So this is also closely related to Mercury. It's one of the planets. It's not that it's the only planet, but yes, this is one of the planets which is also related to it. It controls the larynx and the neck. The functionality part of this particular uh, planet is more towards the upper chest and the speech ability, the vocal cords. So the functionality is more here and even to the upper chest because the palpitation, the heart, the breathing ability, the capacity, all these things also comes in Mercury. Why does the breathing come into Mercury? Please refer to my planets and their, in medical astrology, I have done one particular thing where I have associated specifically the breathing, the taste, the smell, the touch, the feel, all these things to planets. And in that particular video, I have told you that being young is Mercury and getting old is Saturn. So how does this happen? It is like this. You breathe in, you are getting fresh oxygen, which is trying to keep you young. You breathe out, you are pushing out, more carbon dioxide out. But if your breathing processes are not correct, if you cannot absorb more oxygen, and if you are breathing out oxygen, whatever you had, taken in, so that is as good as Saturn trying to push you into old age. So pranayama can keep you young for years together. Even when in your 80s, you can feel as good as 18 if your pranayama is good. Your yoga and your practices of breathing is good. You will have that spurti, urja, that is the motivation, the spirit. It will be very strong. So that is controlled by Mercury. That is, breathing in is controlled by Mercury, and that is why I'm talking about good lung breathing. Okay. So it also represents the shoulders, the dexterity part of it, because only power in the shoulders which Mars gives you is not enough for you to act precisely. So if I have the strength in my arms to hold a hammer and a chisel in my left hand, that doesn't make me a sculptor. I have the strength to break it, but I don't have the skill to carve. Then that means my power will be more and the stone will break. I need to know how much I should deliver, how much I should carve. So that strength of, controlling the strength of Mars and delivering the exact punch to that particular place is what makes a sculptor, a carving expert, a carpenter, a skilled artist. Let us come to it. A skilled artist. There is a big difference between a painter who paints the wall in your building and a painter who has given you Da Vinci. So you cannot compare them at all. Maybe he is also doing good texture, wall textures, great work, but he is not Michelangelo. Try to understand this particular point. The skill and the art of how to take a simple thing and make it an art, that comes under Mercury, and that is what is your forearm and your shoulders. That is where Mercury sits. So it also controls the navel and the gallbladder. So let us go into the aspects of Mercury. We know that it represents the skin, and hence, and Mercury being a very feeble planet, it is not a strong planet at all. It should not be afflicted. The more it is afflicted, more the allergies and the more the difficulties a person will face on his skin. So there will be rashes, allergies, skin disorders, itching problems, fungal infections, all these things which might happen over the skin. You can get pigmentation, vitiligo, all these things when you have to see different planets associated with Mercury can give problems of the skin and also problems of hair. Because if people tell that, so it's only skin, hair grows over the skin. So the 6 layers of the skin, if it is not well protected, then the hair root, the hair follicle will fall, or it will dry up, or it will become unnecessarily too much. So skin overgrowth of hair over the skin. All this can also be seen from the placement of Mercury along with other planets, because we need to see. For example, I gave you a word called vitiligo. I don't see vitiligo from Mercury, but I will be seeing vitiligo with Venus, Ketu, Moon. So when Venus, Ketu, Moon combination is afflicting, or it is there somewhere in the chart and we have a weak Mercury, then I can see skin problems like vitiligo, leukoderma. So vocal cords with regard to the voice, production of voice, and how a person can control his speech. As we said, speaking, the ability of speaking is something else, but the ability of able to speak well, and the ability of able to put forth your thoughts in the right manner for the audience who are sitting there, it's a skill, and that skill Mercury has. So communicative skills, so modulation of the voice is also to be seen through Mercury. So let us go into the difficult part of Mercury, which is actually the nervous system. So it controls our fluctuations, or what we say as the information which gets continuously connected or disconnected in our brain, which supplies us information of our past knowledge. so that it makes us wise in taking decisions. Here, Mercury plays a very important role. So, if there is a fluctuation of electricity, we call that as impairment, or in other words we call that as going through seizures, epilepsy, and problems of very big things in nature. Difficult it is. So to have a good memory capability and to put forth a good sentence formation, or articulation, or even comprehension, if you are able to understand things when you read something, grasping power, studying how children are able to cope up with so much of syllabus today, all this can be seen from Mercury. If Mercury is badly placed, they will not have focus over their education. If Mercury is well placed, it is a child's game for them. Even when they are in college, they are, it's like, I can do it. So they are there, it's so easy for them. So going into the problems associated with this nervous system in the brain, a person can, it can range from OCD, ADHD, bipolarity, schizophrenia, whatever it is. So lot of problems which are associated with the brain can be seen. And today's date, a lot of people are suffering from psychological problems, psychosomatic diseases. It's all because once they fall into depression, or once they fall into tensions of stress, they are not able to come back. They take that and they fall into the trap of, you know, trying to achieve something, trying to make their place in the society, trying to climb the ladder, trying to take all that work stress and try to put it into their lifestyle, which is giving them a lot of hard time. So this particular thing can spoil your eyesight. It can because of the nervous disorder to the eye. So the disconnect of the nerves to the eye can give a lot of problems. And keep your youth alive. As I said in the moon's, moon and medical astrology, I have told this particular thing, that you need to keep your child alive in you. As good as in Mercury, I am telling you, keep your youth alive. That is all those, beautiful things which made you think that I want to live life, and I want to live life in a better way. Keep that alive for a long time at least, so that you will have a motivation to live. So there are other small things like, problems like, disorders of the, gallbladder. These are all very minor issues, but these are all issues related to the routine. So once the routine is good, the gallbladder issue will not be there. But before it comes, you need to change your routine. But once it comes, you need to, either flush or clean it or get it, operated. So gallbladder issues can be seen through Mercury. So there are bigger problems in Mercury which are related to the brain. That is what psychological problems which needs psychotherapy, because the biggest problem of Mercury is that it can inflict fear into a native. The fear of taking a decision, making him indecisive, the fear of failure, the fear of social, humiliation. People will not do what they have to do, and they become introverts and they sit inside. So this is also a medical problem which has to be handled. So these are all problems of the mind. So if it is not physical, don't think that the medical world ends there. The medical world has more to do with your mindset. So mindset, Mercury is a very positive planet. Usually Mercury never sticks to anything. It will leave that there and go ahead with future, and very optimistic. But if Mercury is sitting along with a slow moving planet like Saturn, slow moving planet like Jupiter, and it is afflicted by Rahu or something like that, then people will stick on to their past, the miseries of the past, and they cannot come out so easily. So they need therapy. So thank you very much for today's class.